Despite the Nintendo Switch's massive success, which I think Nintendo will still continue the Nintendo Switch well after Nintendo Switch Pro's lifespan. For example, Nintendo still sold the NES way after the Super Nintendo came out. So people who love the Nintendo Switch, you guys don't have to worry about the Nintendo Switch going away. Playable the Nintendo Switch Pro, which has been rumored to be coming out next year, so to compete with the PS5 and Series X. And I'll be talking about why the Nintendo Switch Pro will destroy specifically mostly the PS5 and Series X as well. Because Series X will still be mostly popular only in the US and the UK. Yes, the Series X is gaining ground in Japan and Europe and stuff, but still has one problem. It has no exclusives unless Microsoft makes Bethesda games exclusive. That's gonna be one problem. Microsoft is they're not prioritizing exclusives. Nintendo, they have some of the biggest gaming franchises in the world. So you might say, but Sony has The Last of Us, God of War. But Nintendo, they have Mario, they have Zelda, they have Pokemon. Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise on Earth. A game as bad as Sword and Shield didn't kill the Pokemon franchise. I think the Pokemon franchise will still be around in the future. And considering the Pokemon franchise is the highest grossing media franchise in history, even beating Star Wars as a franchise, where Star Wars has been around 20 years longer than Pokemon, but Pokemon still beat out Star Wars and Hello Kitty and some other franchises that mostly rely on toy sales. Hello Kitty, Winnie the Pooh, which mostly sell because of toys and stuff. But Nintendo also has Mario. Mario is essentially the face of gaming. Whether you God of War, you might think God of War is a fun game, but I think you can all know Mario is the face of gaming. Mario is the face of gaming, okay? Yes, the Wii U flopped. The Wii U did flop, but it was Nintendo's fault the Wii U flopped, not our fault. Nintendo did not marketed the Wii U so horribly it flopped. But every Nintendo franchise, the console, has done relatively well. Even the lesser ones like the GameCube still did on par with the Xbox console. The Xbox One still outsold the Wii U. Okay, it still outsold the Wii U within a few years. Lifetime's Wii U's numbers. Look at the highest selling franchises in history. You have Mario at first with 652 million copies. That is more than 500,000 copies sold of a franchise. The second best selling franchise is Tetris, which again is including mobile game downloads. Pokemon, 368 million, and then Mario again. Yes, there are franchises like GTA and Call of Duty, but if the Nintendo Switch Pro can probably be on par with the next gen consoles, GTA and Call of Duty will probably be on Nintendo consoles. So you have Mario, Pokemon, GTA, and Call of Duty, and FIFA, which is not that great. But you have four of the highest selling and most successful franchises coming out. Two of them are practically yearly releases. Call of Duty is one, and Pokemon is almost a yearly release franchise, where Pokemon at least takes break years of the games, but Pokemon's practically almost an annual franchise at this point, with 2020 being the exception. But again, they still got releases in Pokemon for the DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So yeah, there's still new Pokemon content coming out. Same thing in 2015, there are new games, but they still got Super Mystery Dungeons. So that at least one Pokemon game every year. There's at least one Mario-related game every year. 2020 had the Mario Collection. Last year, I actually don't know what they released last year. They released the Mario Bowser game. That game existed on the 3DS. But they also, I forgot when Nintendo released last year. Oh yeah, they released Mario Maker too. That's what they released last year. And then you have, Pokemon and Mario get new games every year. It's either a spin-off or a main series franchise. And these two franchises are the biggest franchises in the world. And Nintendo Switch already had record-selling games on the console. Imagine if they had the big, massive third-party exclusives running, being able to be ran on the consoles at native 4K, like at the PS5 and Series X. That would be a gold mine in sales. The Switch Pro would probably sell faster than the Switch itself, and the Switch already sold out relatively well because of the massive franchises that are on the Switch as well. Yeah, if you look at the best-selling Switch games, or I'm on Wikipedia, best-selling Switch games, okay, of all time, you have Juggernauts. You'll probably have another Mario Kart, another Animal Crossing, another Smash Bros., another Zelda, and another Pokemon game. These 5 games alone sold, I think, nearly 100 million copies. These 5 games alone sold 100 million copies on the Switch. Okay, Mario Odyssey is a close 6th. Let's Go Pikachu probably the worst games in the franchise. Even in the Pokemon franchise, even probably, I think they're even worse than Sword and Shield, because those games are basically Pokemon Go for the Switch. Mario Party, 10 million copies. Considered most, even in Mario Party, best-selling Mario Party in history, Super Mario Party. Splatoon 2, 10 million copies. And Mario Deluxe will probably reach 10 million as well. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, Luigi's Mansion, and Mario Maker 2 and Link's Awakening, they haven't really updated those sales since then. But I bet Luigi's Mansion 3 and Mario Maker 2 could probably reach 10 million copies. And actually, the Nintendo Wii and the DS were the only game consoles besides the 360 and PS3, which of course had digital copies, and the PS4 and as well, were the only consoles ever to have more than 10 games reach 10 million copies. Have 10 or more games reach 10 million copies. And Nintendo, Mario also, and again, Breath of the Wild 2 will probably be on both consoles. Mario 3D World will probably still do well on both consoles, which is rumored to be on both consoles. And you also have some sleeper hits like Ring Fit Events are coming out. Nobody was expecting Ring Fit Events to sell 4 million. We thought that the Nintendo was done. That people were done with the Wii era style games. But apparently, Ring Fit Events have proved us wrong, and it's selling well on the Switch. We had other games like Kirby Star Allies and Tropical Freeze, which they'll probably update later at the end of Q1 of this year. But we have more games on here. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which hasn't been updated in a while. Chronicles Definitive Edition, DX. Some games further down this list. We don't have sales yet for Paper Mario the Origami King. We don't know how that game sold on the Switch or some other games here. But yeah, Nintendo will probably report sales pretty soon of some of these games, like Animal Crossing. That's gonna sell 40 million copies. Mario Kart Wii. That's selling Mario Kart Wii even probably better than Mario Kart Wii. 22 million copies within 5 months. That is like GTA 5 numbers. Okay, GTA 5 sold 10 million copies in one day. Okay, and GTA 5 was on 2 consoles. The game sold 40 million copies in 1 year. Animal Crossing New Horizons is Nintendo's big holiday game, because Animal Crossing New Horizons will sell consoles, okay? That's probably why Nintendo's like, hey, wait, we can just delay our bigger games like Mario 3D World Deluxe and some of these other games to next year, because we have Animal Crossing, this big, massive game that everybody wants to buy, and everybody's going to want to get. And the game always sold 22 million copies, is going to overtake Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a whole. And yeah, I don't think Nintendo Switch is done yet to the standard Switch. Wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo Switch keeps getting games 3 years in the future, because the standard Nintendo Switch will probably do well. And wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo Switch Pro is just basically the same console, but with better graphics. So it's really a next gen like the Xbox Series X. And I won't be surprised if Nintendo said we'll put all of our games will work on a Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Pro, but there will be third-party games exclusive or a few bigger games and more ambitious games on the Switch Pro that will take advantage of the Switch Pro by Nintendo, like Breath of the Wild 2, for example. And wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo does make a few games to take advantage of the Switch Pro. But if the Switch Pro is indeed a real console, if the Switch Pro is indeed a real system, this is going to be very bad for the PS5, especially in Japan, where the PS5 was expected to be dominating the console. And if you look at Japan, Nintendo was basically just destroying PS4 in Japan. They are just destroying that console. The PS4 is not selling in Japan because of the Switch. The Switch is essentially just, and the Xbox One is non-existent in Japan. But I think you already know about the Xbox One. But the Nintendo Switch sold 10 million copies in Japan alone. And according to Wikipedia, I think was Nintendo Switch sales, Nintendo X Switch sold like 6 million best-selling consoles, okay? Consoles. Breath of the Wild 2 will probably sell 10 million copies. Over 10 million copies as well. Mario Odyssey 2, 10 million copies. Nintendo Switch also does have a chance to take out the PS2 of the best-selling consoles, the best-selling console of all time. And Xbox One is 50 million estimate by the Xbox One, and of course, there's the Wii U, the poor Wii U at 13.56 million copies sold. Here, and yeah, we have some other consoles like the Atari 200, Atari Wing CDI, ColecoVision, Dendy. Never heard of that console before. NES Classic Edition, Super NES Classic Edition sold 5 million copies. That's a lot of copies for the NES Classic Edition. But again, most people who bought that were 90s kids who had nostalgia for the Super Nintendo. That's not surprising at all. The PS Vita, no one bought the PS Vita. That's not surprising because nobody. See, this is what happens when you make a console that only has anime games. No one buys your console, and people are like, oh, but the PS Vita is so amazing because it gets to play Anime Waifu Simulator 100 on your PS Vita. No. That does not make a good console. No one's gonna buy that in America, okay? And yeah, the PS Vita flopped in America. Not too surprising there. But yeah, we have the NES here. Nintendo Switch is probably gonna outsell the Nintendo 3DS family. The Game Boy and Portable. No, not Game Boy Portable. Game Boy Advance, PlayStation Portable as well. Game Boy and Game Boy Color. That's total both consoles. PlayStation, Wii. The Nintendo Switch is probably going to end up being around over 100 million at the very least. The Nintendo Switch is outselling the PS4, which has been out since 2014. Okay? And yeah, the Nintendo Switch will probably be discontinued around 2024 2025. No, not discontinued, but be down, not really selling anymore while the new Switch Pro comes out here. And yeah, that's basically about the Nintendo Switch Pro. Do you think Nintendo Switch Pro will outsell the PS5? Or do you think that Nintendo Switch Pro is just a whole hoax that is made up by Bloomberg and some guy in 4chan and is just a big hoax? Which highly doubt it is. So, yeah, that's basically it about this. Goodbye.